Do you like salty food? Maybe you don't. Maybe it's too salty. When is something too salty? Why is it too salty? Hmm. Why do some things like bacon or smoked salmon don't go rotten when they're salted? That's a question that you might want to include as part of your big science question. How does salt affect vegetables? How does salt affect me? Why does my tongue feel really weird after I eat a big bag of salt and vinegar chips? You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, this experiment looks at a vegetable, or more than one, and salt, mainly. What you're going to do is you're going to take your vegetable and you're going to dunk it into a solution, a liquid, water and salt. But we're going to vary the amounts of salt that you add into your cup. Okay? Then we're going to see what happens. Does anything change? Does this little potato change its shape or weight or color or size, or does it twist when it's left in salty solution? Or maybe it does nothing. Those are good questions. Just because you have nothing as an outcome doesn't mean you didn't learn anything. Keep that in mind. So here's the supplies you're going to need. Something to do measuring with, a potato. You can also have another vegetable like a yam or a carrot or even an apple. Be an interesting experiment. Um, a kitchen type knife, something a bit longer than shorter. It'll give you more precise cuts. I'm using measuring spoons, cutting board, salt, and some cups. If you have a special scale that measures grams, that is awesome. Mine just busted, so I don't have it, but that would allow you to measure your potato before you put it into the liquid and then measure it after and notice really small changes in its weight, which might suggest that it's either shrinking or gaining weight somehow. How would a potato gain weight just sitting in a cup of water? Think about it. Let's do this one, hey? 3 cups. I'm going to label this one 0. I'm going to put no salt in it. This one's going to be labeled 1 and 2. Oh, let's move them back so you can see them. I'm going to take my salt in my 0 cup. No, it gets nothing, so that's easy. In my 1, I'm going to put 1 tablespoon. Do you know what? That's going to be too much now that I think about the measurements. Let's use 1 teaspoon. Teaspoons are smaller by about a third. So not the big one, teaspoon. The other one has a 2. You guessed it, 2 of those, right? Once I've got these filled up with salt, I'm going to add water, and I'm going to add the identical amount. So I'll use my drink bottle. It's got a nice measuring spot on the side, and I'll make sure I put about 250 milliliters. That's 1 cup, 250 milliliters in each one. And then I'll get on my stirring rod or the end of a pencil or a pen, stir it up to make sure that the salt is totally dissolved. So the liquid inside the cup appears clear and there's no salt on the bottom. Okay. Once you got that done, it's time to add your vegetable. Now, this is how we do it. I'm going to get rid of that salt. I know I wasn't going to add any in there. In reality, I'm not adding water, so it's okay. It's up to you to do the messy part for this one. Now, because I don't have... Sorry, I jiggled the camera. I don't have a scale or yeah, so we call it different than a balance, of course. I don't have a scale that measures in grams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut pieces that are identical dimensions. 1 centimeter wide, 1 centimeter around, so like a big French fry. If you need help doing this, get an adult. Keep your fingers, they're really handy. Airplanes found us. Okay. Perfect. 15 millimeters. So I'm going to make mine 15 millimeters across, and that will give me a nice square. One of those plastic rulers is really handy in the kitchen. I don't know where mine went. Remember, once you cut it, you can always fine tune it later. So I'm going to cut a few more sticks like this. I'll use this as my guide. I could cut one more if I want, but there you go. If you have a French fry cutter, like one of the old-fashioned ones, those are perfect. They'll cut like 16 perfect little rods all in one go. Now the last thing is to cut the ends. Okay, so we have to agree upon a length that you want. You can pick whatever you want. About 5 centimeters is about the minimum. So I'm going to see how long I can get it. I'll clean up those ends, make them square. And then, it looks like 8 centimeters. Can always double check. Oh, I didn't get the brown part off there. Perfect. So once you get your pieces of potato cut, and you can do about 3 in each cup. Yeah, so not just one. That way you can always check and see if maybe one went funny because it was from an outside cut on a potato. I don't know. There's lots of differences. Put about 3 sticks in each one. Okay. And I'm going to measure the dimensions before my last check. Make sure they're all perfect. Yep. And I'll write down those dimensions so I don't forget. So it's 15 by 15 by 75 millimeters. Okay. Then I'm going to put them into my cup that already has my salt and my water. Remember, I didn't do that step, but you're going to add water, mix it up, and leave them in there. There's going to be some in the cup that has no salt, some in the cup with 2 spoons, and some with 2 spoons and 1. Okay. Give them half an hour. So you might set a timer, give them half an hour, and see. Look what I got here. Oh, hang on. Come here, puppy. Oh, Winston. Yes. Do you smell? It's potatoes. Okay, go. He likes eating stuff. I don't know if he'll like potatoes, though. So when you are done that half an hour, pull out your potato. Pull out your measuring stick. See if they've changed shape. See if they've shrunk, increased, twisted, changed color. Record all that information. If you have the scale, remember those fancy gram scales, make sure you measured it before, record the weight, then put it in and record the weight after. Okay? And you may find that you get some really interesting results. That's it. You can do that. Think, how would you vary your experiment now? Well, maybe you might add 1 cup with even more salt. Maybe you might choose to use sugar, dissolved sugar, the same amount of sugar and salt, see if it responds the same way. Maybe you want to use a different vegetable, like a yam, or maybe a vegetable that's not a root veg. So a fruit like this, I wonder if that would respond differently. Maybe an onion, that would be challenging, or a chunk of cabbage, right? The same weight and the same dimensions, then see, what does it do? How does salt affect tissue that was alive like not too long ago, right? Because it'll likely may respond to our body the same way, right? So we can learn things about ourselves when we look at vegetables. Okay, get in there. Good luck.